There's a moment every woman knows. That quiet ache when you realize the man you've been hoping for, the one you've been making excuses for, just isn't showing up for you the way you deserve. Maybe he started off attentive, texting you first, making you laugh, calling you baby like it meant something. But lately, it's different. The calls come less often, the plans get cancelled, the energy feels off. You're not crazy, you can feel it, something's shifted, and deep down, you already know what it means. He's just not that into you. Now, before you click away, hear me out. Because this isn't about shame. This is about clarity. This is about you reclaiming your emotional power. Because when a man is wasting your time, what he's really doing is draining your energy. Energy you could be pouring into your own growth, your peace, your glow up, your purpose. And sometimes we stay because we believe that if we just love harder, wait longer, or prove our worth, he'll suddenly see us. But love doesn't work like that. Real love, the kind that meets you where you are, doesn't require you to shrink to fit inside someone else's uncertainty. So today, we're going to talk about 5 signs he's just not that into you and is wasting your time. But more than that, we're going to talk about you, your self-worth, your feminine energy, and your power to walk away with grace instead of desperation. Because when you understand these signs, you stop chasing validation and start standing in your value. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe. Because every week we dive into what it really means to live in your feminine power. Not the watered down kind, but the kind that's rooted in strength, softness, and self-respect. Now, take a breath. Maybe grab your tea or your wine, whatever fits your vibe tonight. And let's get into it. 1. He gives you confusion instead of clarity. A man who's truly interested in you will make you feel safe. Not necessarily because he's perfect, but because his intentions are consistent. When he's into you, his energy has direction. He knows what he wants, and he's not afraid to show it. But when a man isn't really invested, you'll start to feel something subtle but powerful. Confusion. Confusion is a symptom of emotional inconsistency. One day, he's all in, texting you good morning, asking about your day, planning to see you. The next, he's distant, cold, distracted. And you start doing emotional gymnastics just to make sense of it. You think, maybe he's just busy. Maybe I said something wrong. Maybe if I just show I care a little more, he'll come back around. But here's the truth. Clarity is a form of respect. Confusion is not. When a man wants you, he doesn't send mixed messages, he sends effort. And yet so many of us have been conditioned to mistake inconsistency for excitement. It's the emotional roller coaster that keeps you hooked. Psychologists call this intermittent reinforcement. It's the same principle used in gambling. You never know when you'll get the reward, so you keep investing in hope. But your heart is not a slot machine. You are not meant to sit in uncertainty, waiting for someone to decide if you're worth showing up for. Think of the queen archetype. She doesn't chase knights who can't find their way to her castle. She doesn't decode confusion. She observes it and she steps back. Because the queen understands something simple. Confusion is a sign that the energy isn't aligned. And alignment is everything in love. So if you're constantly questioning where you stand, if you're overanalyzing texts, if your peace depends on his next move, that's not love. That's emotional chaos. Ask yourself, why am I allowing confusion to be part of my romantic language? When did uncertainty start feeling like connection? Because it's not. It's distraction from your truth, from your needs, from your worth. When a man is truly into you, you'll feel it in your nervous system. Calm, not chaos. You'll stop checking your phone every few minutes because you'll know he'll reach out. You won't need to read between the lines because his words and actions will line up. And if you're in a situation right now that constantly keeps you guessing, I want you to remember this. You can't build a future on confusion. Don't try to decode it. Don't wait for it to make sense. Just recognize it for what it is. A sign to stop investing in what drains your peace. A queen knows that emotional clarity is a form of abundance. She doesn't settle for half-hearted energy when her heart is capable of so much more. 2. He doesn't see your value, he just enjoys your presence. There's a difference between a man who values you and a man who just likes having you around. One sees your worth, the other benefits from your energy. He likes your softness, your beauty, your humor. He likes the way you listen, the way you make him feel understood, the way your presence adds warmth to his world. But he's not building anything with you. He's not committing, he's not prioritizing, and he's not emotionally investing. He's simply enjoying the access without offering anything of depth in return. And here's the thing. Women with strong feminine energy often attract men who are drawn to their light but not ready to honor it. Your warmth, your empathy, your nurturing energy, they're intoxicating. But if you don't have strong boundaries, that energy becomes something people consume instead of cherish. You are not here to be someone's emotional spa, soothing them when they're tired, healing them when they're hurt, inspiring them when they're lost, while they give you nothing real in return. You are not here to be the almost girlfriend, the maybe someday, or the placeholder until he's ready. Simone de Beauvoir once said, "One is not born, but rather becomes a woman." And part of becoming a woman is realizing that your love is not a currency to buy attention. It's a sacred offering that should be met with devotion, not convenience. When he truly sees your value, you won't have to explain your needs. He'll want to understand them. You won't have to fight for consistency, he'll protect it. You won't have to wonder where you stand, he'll make it clear through action, but when he's just enjoying your presence, everything feels temporary. He reaches out when it's convenient. He compliments you when he wants your attention. He's charming, but it's shallow. You might share deep moments, but they never evolve into deeper commitment. And yet, so many of us stay in those dynamics because we think, at least he's here. But presence without purpose is not partnership. It's emotional stagnation. Ask yourself, does this man see me, or does he just use me as a mirror for his own comfort? Does he invest in my growth, or does he just consume my energy? Because a man who values you will want to rise with you, not just rest in your light. Remember the myth of Persephone, the goddess who was taken into the underworld but emerged each spring renewed. That's the power of a woman reclaiming her light after giving it away to the wrong man. She learns that her energy is not something to be borrowed. It's divine, and it deserves reverence. So, if you find yourself with someone who loves your presence but not your essence, it's time to pull your energy back. Because the moment you stop overgiving, you start attracting men who see your value without needing to be convinced. The truth is, your presence is not a gift to everyone. It's a privilege. And the right man, the one who's truly into you, will never treat your light like background noise. 3. He's emotionally unavailable, and you keep hoping your love will change him. Every woman, at some point, meets the emotionally unavailable man. He's magnetic, charismatic. He gives you just enough to keep you hoping, just enough vulnerability to make you believe he could open up, if only the timing were right, if only he healed a bit more, if only you were patient enough, loving enough, understanding enough. But here's the truth. Emotional unavailability isn't a temporary condition, it's a pattern. And no amount of love can unlock someone who's chosen to stay closed. You see, emotional availability isn't about trauma or past pain alone. It's about willingness. We all have a past. We've all been hurt. But the emotionally available man takes responsibility for his healing. The unavailable one hides behind it. He tells you he's just not ready, that he's been hurt before, that he doesn't want to rush things. You tell yourself that means he's being honest, that he just needs time. But what he's really telling you is, I cannot meet you where you are. And as women, especially those of us with nurturing, empathetic energy, we often hear that as a challenge instead of a boundary. We want to help him heal. We want to show him what love can feel like. We believe our patience will inspire him to open up. But here's the thing. When you try to love a man into his readiness, you end up mothering him, not partnering with him. Carl Jung wrote that the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. But transformation only happens when both are willing participants. You cannot do emotional labor for two. A queen doesn't try to fix what's not hers to heal. She understands that her love is sacred, but it's not medicine for those who refuse to face themselves. Ask yourself, am I loving him or am I rescuing him? Because love is not supposed to feel like emotional CPR. When a man is emotionally unavailable, he will give you beautiful beginnings and painful middles. He'll offer connection without commitment, intimacy without intimacy. You'll keep hoping for depth and he'll keep offering surface. And slowly you'll start doubting yourself, wondering if you're asking for too much, if you're moving too fast, if you should just be more patient. But the truth is, you're not asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person. You deserve a love that meets you, not one that drains you. And the moment you stop trying to prove you're worthy enough for a closed heart, you reclaim the space to attract someone open, ready, and emotionally responsible. Because feminine energy isn't about waiting, it's about receiving. But you can't receive if you're busy chasing. Remember, a man who's ready won't need convincing. He'll meet you in the middle, heart first. 4. He says the right things, but his actions never follow. Words are easy. They cost nothing. And some men, consciously or not, know exactly what to say to keep you emotionally tethered. I miss you. I've never felt this way before. You're different. But here's what experience teaches you. The truest form of communication isn't what a man says. It's what he does consistently. A man's words show potential. His actions show intention. When he's into you, he won't just talk about wanting to see you. He'll make it happen. He won't just promise consistency. He'll demonstrate it. He won't leave you hanging in uncertainty. He'll create emotional security. But when he's not that into you, the inconsistency becomes a pattern. He disappears after making grand gestures. He future talks without future building. He makes you feel seen in words, but invisible in action. And here's what's powerful to understand. Inconsistency is not confusion. It's communication. It's telling you, I want access to you, but not accountability. We, as women, are deeply intuitive. You know when something feels off. You know when words don't match behavior. Yet so often, we silence that inner knowing because we want to believe the fantasy over the facts. We want to believe his busy schedule instead of his lack of effort. We want to believe his apologies instead of his patterns. But truth lives in repetition. And once you start paying attention to patterns instead of promises, everything becomes clear. Think of the Stoic women in history. Women like Aurelia Cotta, the mother of Julius Caesar, known for her wisdom and restraint. She once said that dignity requires distance. When a man's actions don't align with his words, your dignity lies in stepping back, not leaning in. Ask yourself, if I stop listening to what he says and only watch what he does, would I still believe he cares? Because real love doesn't require detective work. It's consistent, grounded, and visible. It feels like alignment, not anxiety. A woman who's in her feminine power doesn't chase words, she observes actions. She knows that a man's reliability is his love language. So the next time someone tells you everything you want to hear, pause and wait. See if his energy sustains the promise. Because a man who truly means it won't need to prove it once, he'll prove it every day. The queen archetype teaches us this. She is not impressed by charm, she is impressed by consistency. Anyone can spark chemistry, few can sustain commitment. When his words and actions don't match, believe the actions, every time. 5. You feel smaller around him, instead of more yourself. Love should make you expand, not contract. It should make you feel more alive, more grounded, more radiant. But sometimes, without realizing it, we end up in connections that slowly shrink us. At first it feels exciting, you feel chosen, you feel desired, you feel seen. But over time, you notice yourself dimming to keep the peace. You hold back your opinions because you don't want to seem too much. You downplay your success so he doesn't feel intimidated. You make yourself emotionally smaller to keep him comfortable. And that's not love. That's self-abandonment. A healthy connection should never make you betray yourself. Psychologist Carl Rogers once said that real love requires unconditional positive regard, the ability to see someone fully, flaws and all, and still honor their humanity. When someone truly loves you, they don't require you to edit yourself. They make space for all of you. But when a man isn't truly into you, or when he's insecure, he'll often make subtle remarks, withdraw affection, or criticize your independence as a way of keeping control. Not because he's powerful, but because he's threatened by your power. And so you start dimming little by little. You think, maybe if I'm softer, quieter, less opinionated, he'll stay. But every time you do that, you lose a piece of yourself. Ask yourself, do I feel more alive or more anxious around him? Do I feel seen or do I feel managed? A woman in her feminine energy radiates most when she's authentic, when she's fully expressed, emotionally open, unapologetically herself. The right man will not only tolerate that, he'll be inspired by it. Think of Cleopatra, a woman of unmatched charisma and intelligence. She didn't shrink herself to make anyone stay. She knew her value, and that's what made her unforgettable. When a connection makes you feel smaller, it's not love, it's control. Love expands. Love liberates. Love reminds you of who you are. If you've been in something that made you doubt your light, let me tell you this: you are not too much. You are just giving too much to someone too small to hold it. The woman you are becoming, confident, grounded, radiant, she doesn't beg to be seen. She commands space simply by existing. And the right man, the one who's truly into you, will never ask you to shrink. He'll hand you the crown and say, I see you. Stand tall. 6. He keeps you in the almost. Never fully in, never fully out. There's a particular kind of heartbreak that doesn't come from being rejected. It comes from being almost chosen. You know what I mean. The situationship, the we're not official but we act like it. The he just needs a little more time. The we're complicated. It's the gray area, and it's the most emotionally expensive place to live. Because the almost gives you just enough to hope, but never enough to trust. It feeds on your potential, not your peace, and slowly you begin to mistake uncertainty for connection. You tell yourself that progress is happening, that you just need to be patient. But deep down, you know, he's comfortable keeping you in the middle because it serves him. He gets the benefits of your presence without the responsibility of your heart. He gets your attention, your loyalty, your emotional availability, all while keeping his options open. And the longer you stay, the more you internalize the message that being almost chosen is the best you can get. But it's not. It never was. The almost is an illusion of progress. It's emotional purgatory. And it will rob you of your glow if you let it. You see, when a man truly wants to be with you, there's no gray. He moves with clarity. He makes intentions known. You don't have to beg for definition because his actions define it for you. So why do we stay in almost? Because they mirror our own uncertainty. Because part of us is afraid that maybe if we demanded more, we'd lose what little we have. But what we fail to realize is that what we have isn't love, it's limbo. Ask yourself, what am I afraid will happen if I finally walk away from the almost? Because usually, the fear isn't of losing him. It's of facing the silence that follows. The silence that forces you to sit with yourself, your unmet needs, your unmet hopes. But that silence, it's where rebirth happens. The Greek myth of Psyche tells us this story beautifully. Psyche loved Eros, but her love was tested through separation and uncertainty. It was only when she stopped chasing the illusion and faced her own truth that she earned back her power, and with it, a love built on equality, not secrecy. The almost teaches you where your boundaries are weak. It teaches you where you confuse potential with partnership. It shows you what parts of yourself still crave validation instead of authenticity. And when you finally walk away, really walk away, you'll feel something shift. It's not anger, it's not revenge, it's relief. You'll finally be free of trying to be enough for someone who was never ready to receive you. Remember this, the man who wants you will claim you, not as a possession, but as a choice. There will be no almost, there will only be clarity. 7. You keep trying to prove you're worthy instead of being adored effortlessly. This is the deepest one, because it's not just about him, it's about you. It's about the patterns that live inside us as women, the ways we've been conditioned to earn love through effort, to believe that if we're kind enough, patient enough, beautiful enough, accomplished enough, he'll finally see us. But here's the truth that changes everything. When you have to earn love, it's not love, it's performance. You were not created to audition for affection, you were born worthy. Somewhere along the way, maybe in childhood, maybe through heartbreak, you learned that being chosen required sacrifice, that you had to overgive, over-accommodate, over-prove. And so, you became the woman who always tries, the woman who fixes, the woman who stays, the woman who turns herself into a sanctuary for others, but forgets to rest in her own. But that version of you, the one who's constantly proving she's tired, she's aching to lay it down. Because real love, the kind that's rooted in respect and admiration, doesn't make you perform. It invites you to be. When a man is truly into you, you won't feel anxious. You'll feel adored. You'll feel seen in your rawness, not just your perfection. He'll make space for your emotions, not shrink from them. He'll admire your strength without trying to dominate it. You won't have to chase, you'll just be met. The queen archetype again offers us wisdom here. She never seeks approval because she knows she is approval. She doesn't beg for loyalty, she inspires it. And the right man doesn't approach her to test her worth, he recognizes it instantly. Ask yourself, when did I start believing that love had to be earned? Who taught me that my softness was something to justify instead of celebrate? The feminine essence is magnetic, not manipulative. When you're in alignment with your worth, you don't chase, you attract. You don't prove, you embody. And that's when everything shifts. A woman in her healed feminine doesn't try to be chosen. She chooses peace, she chooses joy, she chooses men who choose her without hesitation. She chooses to stop negotiating her value. Because when you finally realize that the kind of love you've been searching for begins with you, the game changes completely. You stop begging to be seen, and you start shining regardless. You stop running after men who can't meet you, and you start walking in the energy of, I am already enough. And that energy, it's irresistible. Not because it's loud or flashy, but because it's peaceful. It's grounded, it's sovereign. When you carry that energy, you stop attracting men who test your boundaries. You start attracting men who respect them. You become the kind of woman who doesn't need to prove she's worthy, because her life already reflects it. Her boundaries, her choices, her glow, they all say the same thing, I am the prize. You were never too much. You were just giving too much to the wrong man. Here's what I want you to remember. Every time you walk away from someone who isn't showing up for you, you're not losing love. You're making space for real love to find you. You're telling the universe, I'm done settling for confusion. I'm ready for clarity. And clarity is the foundation of peace. The woman you're becoming, she doesn't chase half love. She doesn't wait for potential. She doesn't negotiate her value. She lives in her truth, honors her softness, and protects her peace like it's sacred, because it is. If any part of you feels like you've wasted time on the wrong person, let that go. Nothing is wasted when it teaches you what you deserve. You learned. You grew, you softened, but you also strengthened. The next time you feel tempted to chase, remember, queens don't chase, they choose. So choose yourself, every single day. And if this message resonated with you, make sure to subscribe, because we're going to keep having these conversations. Conversations that help you reconnect to your feminine power, rebuild your confidence, and fall in love with your life again. Until next time, remember this: your softness is your strength, your intuition is your guide, and your worth is not up for debate. You are already the woman you've been waiting to become.